This is Chad. He's a high school student with a 3.2 GPA. He enjoys shop and woodworking and history, but not so much English or science. He had a bit role in a school play and was on the football team for 2 seasons. He wants a good job and to be able to find work in his hometown. He's really interested in working in local government, but has also been thinking about starting a heating and air conditioning business. And he's trying to decide whether college is a good idea. Honestly, he's really not sure what he wants, but he's heard a lot of his older siblings and friends complain about student loans and isn't sure if going into debt for college is really worth it. But if he doesn't go to college, will he be able to get a job? And if he does go to college, will he still be able to get a job that makes college worth it, or will he just be in debt for forever? Well, if you're like Chad, then this video is for you, and I want to help you think through the question of whether you should go to college. People with lots of money have been saying for a while now that college is not worth it.
It's like it shouldn't be like this huge chore. In fact, I think a lot of things people learn are probably there's no point in learning them. Because they never use them in the future.
And so when you walk into a boardroom with a bunch of guys in suits who all went to college, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, because they read a bunch of words. I've lived a bunch of life.
The newspaper industry, right? More printing presses, more big buildings, right? Makes us look grander. We have brains that we're putting them out there. There's a point of diminishing returns in terms of what it's worth for a college education and how much debt you're willing to saddle yourself with.
And yet people keep going to college not really sure of whether it's worth it. So how do you break down a question like that? Well, first, we've got to clarify, like Wheezy Waiter says to do in his video on whether college is worth it.
The one time I ever read a book, I read this book called Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath, which is about how to make better choices, and the very first villain of decision making they mention is narrow framing. Basically, we often fail to look at all our options. They say to beware of a binary choice, like yes or no, or whether or not. That's exactly what this question creates, unless we complicate it.
And I think the most important way to clarify is to determine what goal we're aiming at. If you want to be a doctor, then college is definitely worth it. If you want to be a teacher, you've got to go to college. If you want a master's, oh yeah. If you want to be an artist, an entrepreneur, a welder, or even a computer technician, there are options out there that make college look like maybe it's not the only way. So first, decide whether your goal makes college worth it to you intrinsically, and if you're not sure of your goal, then why are you going to college? Sure, you may be keeping options open or may know a general direction you want to go in, that's fine. But you figure out what you want to do with your life by interning, by volunteering, by working for a company in a field that you're interested in. Trust me, that's a way better way to figure out your life than to go to college for a degree that you're not even sure if you're gonna use. So first things first, decide your goal and measure your decision about whether or not to go to college by that. Second, let's do the math. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2017, the median yearly earnings with a bachelor's degree was about $61,000, or $2.6 million from ages 22 to 65 or 43 years. The median yearly earnings with a high school degree was $37,000 or $1.7 million. If a bachelor's degree costs about $80,000, that means a person with a bachelor's degree will make about $820,000 more over a lifetime on average. But also, consider that the high school graduate gets to start 4 years earlier, so they get more time to grow their career and will spend more time in the golden years, right before retirement, making their highest salary. To be fair, we'll add a little more to them, and it comes down to college-educated folks making about $700,000 more over their lifetimes. That seems good, right? Keep in mind that the college $61,000 a year factors school teachers, doctors, social workers, engineers, and everything in between. So if you really want to know whether this is worth it to you financially, plug in the average salary for someone with your proposed career. Social workers with a bachelor's degree, for instance, made a median salary of $48,000 a year in 2017, so over a lifetime and minus college costs, that's about $2 million, which makes college still worth it for them, but only by a little. $200,000. The numbers aren't the most important thing, but it's a good thing to go into college with a forecast what the results are likely to be. I will say quickly that you shouldn't judge your possible future earnings by the major you want to take. There's not some amount that English majors make and some average amount that all science majors make. Pick a career, determine what kind of training or major you need to get into that career, and then measure your income potential by that. Plenty of medical students are poor, plenty of philosophy majors are rich. Judge based on what you want the end result to be. Next, we have to consider the intangible career benefits, things that it's kind of difficult to put a dollar sign on. Those are things like job opportunities, networking options, social interactions, school reputation, things like that. I can't quantify these, but I will say that a lot of universities have really cool career centers or professors with connections in the field that can help you land your first big job. At the very least, these services can sometimes help you avoid costly mistakes. At the same time, there are plenty of ways to get those connections without going to college. You just have to be a little bit more intentional. And some people say that going to college with a really good reputation can help you land a job, but honestly, I think that has more to do with alumni networks than what average Joe employer thinks of the college you went to. Personally, I think most employers are going to agree with what Dave Ramsey has to say on this one.
Last thing I'll tell you is this. Any area of study, the number one correlation as to whether you're successful where you went to school has almost zero correlation to your success. Your personal habits and character and charisma to deal with people and your perseverance, your never say die attitude, your street smarts, your common sense, all of those things have more to do with you being successful than having a degree or where you went to school.
Whatever you choose, if you're considering college, consider things like job placement rates. Don't believe everything you hear. Career services, and what kind of jobs people with your major get at the colleges you're interested in. That is the best, though still complicated way to calculate intangibles. Finally, we have the greatest intangible of all, how college changes you. And keep in mind, I'm talking about this from the perspective of a professor who teaches freshman courses and senior courses. So I see the students at the beginning and I see them at the end. And I get to work with a lot of them individually, so I know what's going on here. And this may be the single most important benefit of college, while also being the hardest to predict. When you go to college, or anywhere new to be fair, you open yourself up to new information, new ideas, new experiences, and most importantly, new people. It's a place to go to realize a couple very important things. One, how little you actually know. The more degrees I get, the more I realize just how little I know, and that kind of perspective, that intellectual humility, is vital. Two, how other people think differently from you and why they're not always crazy for doing so. And three, how to learn and think. College is about being uncomfortable, expanding your worldview, changing and growing and learning as a person. Not every college will help you accomplish this though, so if this is something that you care about, I highly recommend that you interact with faculty, visit colleges, ask students what they think about their experiences there, and if you're thorough and really pay attention, you're gonna end up with just one of the greatest experiences possible. And maybe how you view the world will change too. In my opinion, college is still worth it for most people, though that's not to say that everybody should go to college. It's expensive, but if what you want out of life requires a bachelor's degree to succeed and you want to learn, grow, and change, then I highly recommend it. With some of the changes coming up in educational technology, I don't think that a bachelor's degree is going to be necessary for most jobs for super long, but for now, it really is a cornerstone for a lot of people's resumes. And the good news is that college doesn't have to be as expensive as you think. So check out this video about how I graduated college for $7,423 at age 18. You can do similar things, and I would love to show you how. Feel free to comment questions down below, and I'll answer them. Talk to you guys next time.